The woman they called Andrea walked with the confidence of someone who had seen combat. When she entered veteran support groups in the small Virginia town of Norfolk, other veterans noticed her immediately. She carried herself with that specific posture, shoulders back, head held high, eyes constantly scanning entrances and exits. She spoke of deployments to Fallujah and Ramadi, of sandstorms that turned the sky orange, of the particular sound bullets make when they pass close to your ear. And the real veterans nodded along. They recognized the symptoms. They recognized the language. They recognized her. Andrea had been attending meetings for approximately 6 months before anyone thought to question her credentials. Why would they? She knew the terminology. She could describe the interior of a MH-47 Chinook helicopter with precise detail. She knew the difference between a SEAL and a SWCC, between DEVGRU and the regular teams. When older veterans shared stories of their service, she listened with empathetic eyes that seemed to hold their own memories of horror. She cried during the emotional moments. She hugged the broken ones. She brought cookies to the Wednesday night meetings. The real problems began when Andrea started dating Michael, a genuine former Navy SEAL who had served 2 tours in Iraq before being medically discharged with a traumatic brain injury. Michael was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes from seeing things no human should see. And he spoke rarely about his service. And when he did, it was in fragments, shards of memory that escaped before he could catch them. Andrea, by contrast, spoke constantly about her alleged time as one of the first women to complete SEAL training, a claim that should have raised immediate red flags since the first female sailors wouldn't even be permitted to begin the pipeline for another decade. Their relationship was volatile from the start. Michael's friends noticed how Andrea would correct his stories, adding details she claimed he had forgotten. She told his teammates that Michael suffered from memory loss due to his injury, and that she was helping him preserve the accuracy of their shared experiences. The teammates exchanged glances but said nothing. Who were they to question the girlfriend of a brother? Who were they to doubt a woman who clearly understood their world? The tipping point came during a July 4th barbecue at Michael's house. The backyard was filled with active duty and veteran special operators, their wives, their children running through sprinklers. Andrea held court near the grill, telling a story about a mission in Sadr City that had gone sideways. She described taking fire from a rooftop, returning fire, watching a teammate take a round to the shoulder. She used terminology that made the younger operators nod with recognition. She told them about the medevac, about the field surgery, about the helicopter ride back to the green zone. Michael stood by the cooler, holding a beer he wasn't drinking, watching his girlfriend perform for his friends. Something felt wrong. He couldn't identify it at first. The story was technically accurate. The details matched what he knew of that particular battle. But there was something in the telling, something theatrical, and something that didn't align with how actual combat veterans speak about trauma. He walked over and put his hand on her lower back. "Honey, maybe we should let the guys eat before the burgers get cold." Andrea shrugged him off without looking at him. "I'm almost done." So there we were, 14 of us against probably 50 insurgents, and I'm down to my last magazine. "Which unit did you say you were with?" The question came from a young active duty SEAL named Rodriguez, who had been listening with his arms crossed. Andrea smiled, a practiced smile. "I was attached to DevGru in 08 and 09, Gold Squadron." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "Funny. My uncle was Gold Squadron. Retired now. Says there were never any women in the teams during that period." The backyard went quiet. Children stopped running. A woman holding a plate of hamburgers froze mid-step. Andrea's smile didn't waver, but something behind her eyes shifted, calculating, reassessing. Your uncle must have been support personnel," Andrea said smoothly. "The operators wouldn't have discussed attached female personnel with non-operators. Operational security." Rodriguez shook his head. "My uncle was a team leader. 6 deployments. I think he would have mentioned if there was a female operator on his team. Michael watched the exchange with growing dread. He had seen Andrea's military ID, her veteran designation card, her photographs in uniform. And he had never questioned them because questioning them would mean admitting he had been fooled, and no combat veteran wants to admit they missed something that obvious. The cognitive dissonance was physical, a pressure behind his eyes. The barbecue ended early. Michael and Andrea drove home in silence. That night, he waited until she fell asleep, then went through her belongings. The military ID was in her wallet, and at first glance it looked authentic. The right font, the right holographic overlay, the right format. But when he held it next to his own ID, he noticed the differences. The lamination was slightly off. The photo was slightly misaligned. The veteran designation code didn't match any known military occupational specialty. He spent the next 3 days making phone calls. He contacted the Navy Personnel Command, the DevGRU Administrative Office, the Special Warfare Command. Each call produced the same result: no record of any female operator named Andrea matching her description. No record of any Andrea serving in any special operations capacity during the year she claimed. No record at all, actually, of anyone matching her name and social security number having ever served in the United States military. Michael confronted her on a Sunday afternoon. They sat at their kitchen table, a stack of printouts between them, and the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the linoleum. Andrea listened to his findings with an expression of wounded dignity, then explained that her records were sealed, that she had worked on classified programs that wouldn't appear in any standard database, that Michael, of all people, should understand operational security. For a moment, Michael almost believed her. The conditioning was that strong. When someone speaks with confidence about a world you know intimately, when they use the right words in the right order, when they display the appropriate emotional responses to trauma, your brain wants to believe them. Your brain prefers a complicated truth to a simple lie. But Michael had spent too many years in environments where lies meant death. He had developed instincts that had kept him alive in Fallujah and Ramadi, instincts that had gone quiet during his years of civilian life, but were now screaming at him with undeniable clarity. He looked at Andrea, at this woman he had loved, at this woman he had introduced to his mother, and he saw something he recognized. He saw a predator. "You have 24 hours to leave," he said. "I'm not going to call the authorities. I'm not going to expose you. But you're going to walk out that door and never contact me or anyone in my community again." Andrea's face changed. The wounded dignity vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. She stood slowly, deliberately. "You're making a mistake," she said. "When my command hears about this, get out." She left that night. Michael spent the next month trying to forget her, trying to convince himself that he had handled it appropriately, that he had given her a chance to disappear and rebuild her life somewhere else. He told himself that exposure would only hurt the real veterans who had trusted her, who had shared their own trauma with her, who would feel violated and betrayed by the revelation that their confidant was a fraud. He was wrong. Exposure was exactly what the situation required. 6 months passed. Michael had almost succeeded in putting Andrea out of his mind when his phone rang at 2 in the morning. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize, but something made him answer. "Is this Michael Connors?" The voice was male, older, with the particular gravel of a career smoker. "Oh, who's asking?" "My name is General Marcus Webb, United States Army, retired. I need to talk to you about a woman named Andrea. She's using your name, she's using your story, and she's about to get herself killed." Michael sat up in bed, his heart rate spiking with the particular adrenaline of impending crisis. "What do you mean she's using my name?" "She's been attending a veteran support group in Richmond under your name. She's claiming to be your widow." She's claiming you died in a training accident last year and that she's carrying on your legacy or some such nonsense. The problem is she's also been contacting active duty personnel, claiming she has information about security breaches in the special operations community. She's trying to insert herself into ongoing investigations. She's trying to play a game she doesn't understand. Michael's mind raced. General, I don't understand why you're calling me. I haven't spoken to her in months, and I kicked her out. I know everything. I know she was never in the military. I know she fabricated her entire service record. I know she manipulated you and your entire community. What you don't know is that she's been doing this for 15 years. She's been impersonating special operations personnel across 6 states. She's been investigated by the FBI, the Navy CID, and the Army's Criminal Investigation Division. And she's always slipped through because she's very good at what she does. Michael felt something cold settle in his stomach. Then why are you calling me? What do you want me to do? I want you to come to Richmond. I want you to identify her in person, and I want you to press charges. The drive to Richmond took 2 hours. Michael spent them trying to understand why Andrea would risk everything to re-emerge, why she would use his name, why she would insert herself into the one world guaranteed to expose her. The answer, and when it came to him, was simple. She couldn't stop. The attention, the validation, the sense of importance that came from being part of the special operations community, it was addictive. She had tried to walk away, but the pull was too strong. The Richmond Veteran Center was located in a converted storefront on a commercial strip. Michael arrived at noon, as instructed, and found General Webb waiting in the parking lot. The general was shorter than Michael had expected, and with the compact build of a man who had spent his life in peak physical condition and was fighting a losing battle against retirement. His eyes were the eyes Michael recognized from 1,000 mission briefings, intelligent, assessing, and utterly without mercy. "She's inside," Webb said. "She's running a grief counseling session. There are 8 veterans in that room, and she has convinced every single one of them that she understands their pain because she lost her husband, a Navy SEAL, into a training accident. She has their trust. She has their secrets. And she is using those secrets to build a network of contacts that she can exploit." Michael stared at the storefront window. Through the glass, he could see figures sitting in a circle, could see Andrea at the center, gesturing with her hands, playing her role. Why hasn't anyone stopped her before now? Because she's careful. She never claims actual combat service herself. She always claims to be a widow, a girlfriend, a family member.